Hello, everyone. Innovations in defense. I would like to argue that innovations in defense are the most important thing at the moment, the most important innovations that we should develop, because we should really talk about the price. And the price is the highest. The price is human life. And if we, with the help of defense innovations, can bring more people home from war, then it's totally worth to do that. It's totally worth to invest in that. And the crucial part is collaboration, money, working fast, acting fast, implement, test and implement, and get those technologies really to the field. And the aim of this discussion is to find out how can we collaborate better. What do we expect from each other? That is the reason why there are a lot of different parts of this innovation process presented here. And yeah, let's dig in. Udis, the first question goes to you as probably you can describe what is the attitude towards defense innovations in the ministry.
Yes, and thank you, first of all, for inviting me here. Quickly, I think how we see it, and there's a bit of, I think, a lot of drama also for the intro, but I mean, of course, it's how does defense differs from other kind of fields, especially civil fields, is that we do talk about the civil lives at the end of the day. So one thing I think we always have to remember that military by default is a conservative institution. I mean, they seek excellence, and they seek excellence not because they just want it. That is linked with human life. That's linked with their security and the human lives of the civilian world as well. So that's one thing which very often is a difficulty to shift from the civil world to the military world, to have that not even a stigma, it's just that a bit of a wall, if you wish, because it's more difficult, they're more stubborn sometimes, but there is a reason behind it. So I always, when I talk with people who innovate, always you have to talk a lot with the end user. It takes a lot of effort. You have to understand that to break that wall, it takes a bit of time, and it's not because they want to make it difficult. It just there's a reason behind it. So you really have to convince not one end user. You will have to convince many users through different kind of levels, and they expect, and that's also something which is difficult probably to accept at the first moment, that they expect from you as well to understand what they are doing and what kind of which requirements and functionalities they expect. I don't think we think in a different languages or fields, but in a certain way we do, I think. And I think that's really important, that what we try to do is we try to really cut that link between the end user and people who work with the innovation and industry. They'll have that feedback, a constant feedback, because that's one thing we understand, especially when we look at the new technologies, that they are evolving so rapidly. We can't rely on a product which will survive for 30, 40 years. So that's the thing we really want to encourage to do, that not to have the design freeze in the product, that we can change it. It's an iterative process. And throughout that, we can't do it without the end user involvement. And that's what, from our side, what we try really to encourage the army is to give the feedback so people who innovate can give the best product. One thing, the other thing we also want to emphasize is that it's incredibly important for us to move from the innovation to the scale up, because we will want that equipment a lot at one point, hopefully. We will want that equipment to be maintained, sustained, not only in the peacetime, but also in the crisis time. So when we talk about any kind of product, we expect that that thing will also come in a package, that you will be able to explain how you maintain it. Can that be done at the unit level, or that the company only can do it? That's a kind of quick run through on my thing.
Mm-hmm. As it was already mentioned, I'm representing UniLab Defense, and it is a startup accelerator that currently accelerates 6 NATO Diana startups here in Latvia and Riga, and we have a really good collaboration with Adam and his team. And what Udis just said, military is like pretty conservative environment, and there is really a point why it is so. But you are really actively seeking innovations, and you are open to them. What's your comment?
I suppose I would just start by framing this that this is kind of my own kind of perspective on this. I think the key kind of overarching theme is the importance to engage, and that engagement requires communication. It requires opportunities to test and experiment. And really the foundation of that engagement allows you to develop a better understanding of what the requirements are, what the needs are, and what opportunities actually exist out there. And that perhaps is a perspective of looking at it from the innovator's perspective, but also all of this is a two-way street. And so as much as the innovators need to learn in terms of what the military can do, the military also has an opportunity to learn from the innovators and get a better perspective in terms of what these technologies can offer and how they can actually apply those moving forward. So that is one of the reasons why we've created this testing and experimentation cell within the division. It's one of the reasons why we've partnered with UniLab and working through the Diana program, is because it gives an opportunity for the military and the companies to work together to better understand each own perspective in terms of what this ecosystem looks like. And I think when I look at the experience that we've had so far in the first 3 or 4 months, it's been mutually beneficial for both sides. From the innovator side, they've had access to military mentors on the ground, understanding what some of these technologies that they're developing can do. And I know, one of the teams already, they've kind of changed their model in terms of what they're actually looking to apply their technology towards. Another one of the companies they knew what market they wanted to be in, but didn't really know how that applied to the military ecosystem. So that's been a learning opportunity. So I think, as I mentioned initially, that word engagement is key, and it's a dual engagement from both sides to support overall learning.
Mm-hmm. And we are two representatives of this tech side. What tech can offer? Industry representative, LMT Defense, a company that but actually enlarged their portfolio started as telecommunication and now is also separate part as defense. So what can you offer to the military field at the moment?
So LMT is in military innovation since 2018, so way before it was cool. So we have observed how the industry and not the industry, but the end user and this multi-layered ecosystem of stakeholders have changed and adapted towards the rising offer of new innovations and technologies, and especially now accelerated in the few recent years. So from innovators' point of view, so we see the tactical or operational challenge, and so for us it is the opportunity to pick it up and find the ways how to solve it, and to come with this solution to the end user and start the hopefully and perfectly quick iteration cycles, then to deliver the capability, which then can advance finding the solution for that particular challenge. So LMT, as a natively telecommunications operator, we have capabilities related to the military communications, tactical bubbles. We are building capacities in areas of unmanned systems, and all in all, as an integrator who can make various assets operational within the communications network. And as we have learned, then, for example, the drone without communications, it's almost a hand grenade. So communications have become a pivotal part of modern warfare.
Mm-hmm. And then we have a representative from startups. I think this crowd is expecting this side the most. So what's your experience with military? What are you offering?
Hello, thank you. Thanks God we chose dual use product 5 years ago before the big invasion in Ukraine. We have something unique, or we have the big problem. We don't have market. We are creating the market right now. We have military platform vehicle, but looks like scooter, but it's not scooter. It's a motorcycle, but it's not motorcycle. Something, the good things from both. So yeah, 5 years ago we started. We came with this idea, and of course we have still a lot of challenge. We are production ready. We are 3 years, first unit 3 years ago in Ukraine battlefield. And right now we are working with Ukraine, one of the top units, Nemesis, to get the real war experience and needs and product improvements. That's short.
You mentioned challenges. What are the challenges to get to the end user in this sense?
End user, to reach end user, actually it's not the hardest point in my opinion, but get the permissions to give the official tests for the end users, like if you are talking about the straight military, then that's the main challenge. But we are understand like army is not made for to help startups improve the products. The main goal is to defend the country. So yeah, that's the biggest challenge, and of course we started before the war. Then no one think that can happen what is happening right now. But I think we don't have time. Probably, I hope it's not true, but probably war is tomorrow. So and the hardest point is to find that communications to make all these ways and challenge faster together with the ministries, end users, and companies. We are not talking only about startups like me, but also with the bigger companies what have capacities. Yeah, that's the main challenge today, I think, for all of us.
But what is the process at the moment? Okay, you have innovations, you have some good product. What's the next step? What company can do at the moment to approach?
The different kind of ways. Of course, we always expect a good solution, a good offer. We will view it. We will see how we can help. Klaus is right. I think we have to be realistic how much we can offer. We are offering a lot when it comes to testing and evaluation in a drone and in the counter drone field for sure. And of course, we are looking for new products and how to do that. So we have different kind of ways how we support the innovators. We have a specific dedicated grant program from the MOD side, which is dedicated to the military products each year. So we are looking for those kind of say lower level readiness products, if you wish. And then we have also a dedicated research and development contracts, which we sign with more mature content and more mature products as well. So those are two things where we each year try to come up with, I would say, use cases, which we try to solve of those things. That is working. But of course, this is not like a static cycle. If there is something how we can help when it comes to testing and evaluation, we are always offering our doors. The question always is how mature the technology is and how much the involvement the company wants. Because I know for the innovators, it's always not always the case that they have a prototype, right? They still have to get to the prototype, and it also takes a lot of effort. And then, of course, also through the Diana and we are helping the UniLab as well to prep them, to explain the product, not to ourselves only, but also to the ones who can invest in the company. So that's really, really important. And one thing I just jumping out of that, the cycle, I think it's an iterative cycle. There is different kind of European defense funds. We also support the companies from the Minister of Defense and LMT. We've been actively supported both through finance, co-financing, but also through lobbying, because of course in Europe you see a lot of fuzz and buzz about defense industry, about innovation. There's almost every month something new coming up. But at the end of the day, what the Europe is looking for is collaboration. You have to collaborate. You have to collaborate with the big prime companies. And for that, you need lobbying. You actually need national lobbying. So that's also the thing we do. When the company has accumulated other companies around them, they have you know, a more of a collaborative effort. We're always willing and helpful to support them through that. So I would say there's no static cycle. We do have the grants, we have the R&D programs, we have the EDF projects, the call-ups for that. We help with all of it, but we always open to new initiatives and proposals.
Klaus, have you tried something of that? Have you applied for any of this support?
Let's talk. We are on the way for that.
Okay.
Because when we started, there was no guidelines what to do, how to do. There's some associations here in Latvia. There was grants, yeah, of course, and it was different times when we started. Right now, everything's changed, and of course, there's some projects where we can fit, where we can probably fit, where we are out. So we are on the way.
So what do you suggest to new startups, new companies? How do you search for the information where you can get into the military field?
Actually, that is the one suggestion from my side, probably for Ministry of Defense. So create some guidelines how to offer that products what is probably necessary, because of course, the Ministry of Defense can't tell you all the products what they are planning to buy and what is needed. But some like guidelines how to offer, how to start, how to create the idea, concept, or something like that. Because it's the hardest point. I actually, we work in 3 years, then we know about that center at its, which is innovation center. So I didn't know about that before. But that center existed in that time. So yeah, right now it will happen more faster than it was there.
Yeah.
Just a quick, I think, not planning to like defend myself that everything is clear or unclear. There are a lot of things you can find out, and that's right. One thing we have done, we have really tried to boost up the Defense Innovation Center. We also have the Autonomous System Competence Center. Both of those are specifically dedicated, first of all, to help the Army to integrate new systems and new technologies, but the second aim is actually to help the industry. Not only the innovators, but also the companies who are just having more solid production lines already. So that's what we are doing. We understand we need a single stop shop, if you wish. Also to shorten that linkage with the end user, what I said in the beginning. So we are working on that. We understand we can't just say, I think there's a lot of information around. That one thing I did want to kind of emphasize, there is a lot of information around. We have a dedicated section at the MOD as well. And the fact is that we're a bit of struggling because there is so much input, there's so much willingness that we have understood from the MOD side, we can't accumulate it every day. So we need that center, we need to boost it up and help the industry.
That's true. If we are comparing then and now, then it's more ways and more support from the government side.
Adam, one way how you work is collaborate with NATO Diana. Are there any other ways how you find out about those innovations and try to get the right people together?
So I would offer that is still very much in development, and I say that because right now we're working through NATO with Diana.
You can.
Sorry. But we also, being a NATO organization, we also have connections and links into other countries. So as a division that has 14 countries that are involved within the framework of our organization, Canada becomes very interested in doing stuff. Denmark becomes very interested in doing stuff, and in other countries as well. And so it connects very closely to the point he made earlier. We need to develop an understanding in terms of how we prioritize all of this, because there is only a certain amount of bandwidth. We only have a certain amount of resources. We have other missions ongoing as well. So that's part of the problem set as well, is understanding how much we can actually take on, and then how we prioritize that against different types of capabilities that are out there.
So you wanted to add something, but actually the next question is to you. You have experience with the European Defence Fund that Udis already mentioned. Can you elaborate a bit on that? How easy or hard it is to get into those projects?
Currently LMT has 8 active EDF projects, of which one we are coordinating, and previously 3 more which we have finished. So the most challenging is the first step, actually getting exposed into the community of the primes, who are actually the ones who are coordinators of those projects. The primes are the ones who are setting up the consortium, so you need to get into that loop, or into that gravitation field among them, where you are in this kind of the party where the large companies are then distributing calls and consortium partners among themselves. So we started really targeted job in this area by just being in Brussels, going to the EDF information days, any other visibility activities. So when we got our first EDF project, afterwards it became easy, because within that project they appreciate and value the input, and then kind of builds up your reputation, and then you are just into the game. You are regularly being invited into the consortiums. And year and a half ago, we picked up a new challenge, setting up the consortium ourselves. There was a huge part related actually to the lobbying, because pushing through the positive decision from the European Commission side, it's not just the quality of the proposal, but there is also a political context. So we are very, very happy and lucky that kind of this strategy and plan went through.
But do you have any advice to startup or small company how they can be part of this? Is it even possible?
It is absolutely possible. So firstly, you have to carefully assess the call description, because there are two types of calls which are, let's say, really targeted towards the traditional classical defense industry, like next generation battle tanks or infantry fighting vehicles. And then there are those specific R&D focused calls, which are more open also in terms of the output which is expected into the project. So then there are two directions. Like first one, you need to build a partnership and make yourself visible for larger companies. You can start looking here. For example, LMT is also working with a local startup as a subcontractor in another EDF project. So start with your local community, and through there you can open the doors to the larger consortiums. And the second part, those early stage R&D open calls. So there are various matchmaking instruments offered by European Commission. Get yourself at least once to the Brussels to those events. Also work together with the MOD, which has also their own network and support mechanisms regarding that. So it's absolutely doable and possible.
Mm-hmm. I have one question that I was thinking a lot before. The whole process of this creating innovation, there are there is an army, there is politicians who are expecting something, then there are companies that can provide something, and there are ideas that they come up with. How can we, I just think that we want to avoid the situation when everybody's like sitting and waiting for the other side to act. How the process should really be, who should be an initiator of these innovations? What do you expect from companies? What do you expect from policy makers, from the army, and vice versa?
As innovator, I can tell you, you can't sit and wait. Of course, as I mentioned it before, Ministry of Defense is not here to help business. But you don't need to sit and wait, but you need to push. You need to call, you need to write emails for your answers, to get your answers to your questions. Yeah, must work with that. And one day you will give up, or you will continue, and probably you will create amazing product. But nothing happened really fast, and there is no miracles in these industries. Of course, as you mentioned about the politicians, so in 5 years we have on our product a picture with the 4 Ministry of Defense ministers. So happens what happens, and must keep doing that, find the ways how can you work here, also outside of our borders. So we are working with the France army, with the Portugal army today, not only with the Ukrainians. We have good conversation also finally with our defense, with our army actually, and I will see how it will continue. But the question is, the answer from my side is keep pushing, keep going, keep visiting also the local events. One day I start to think, in Latvia everyone knows us, but still, if you are Latvian, you must be there with your product, smallest event. And usually you have one contact, what is a success contact. And if I'm comparing huge military exhibition that was in France, just forget the name, Eurosatory, then there was also I bring to home only one lead, one quality contact, and one success lead. Usually everything happens same here in Latvia when I'm here to some event, Adaži Polygon example, or last week an ATA center. Always one contact you have.
So
That's
innovators
my
should,
experience.
yeah, should push. What about the bigger companies that also want to think of dual-use products, developing dual-use products or military products? What should they do? How they find somebody?
Yeah, firstly, it's very important to have the mindset also from the primarily from the end user side, that innovators and industry is not a vendor, but it's a partner, and then from this partnership approach, build this, as a colleague mentioned, the two-way approach. And then we can kind of start building the dialogue and information exchange. Because at the end of the day, well, for the larger company, it is simpler because we don't have to introduce ourselves to the Ministry of Defense or end user. They know who is LMT. There was a phase in the beginning of our defense ambitions that we have to prove that we are serious about this, that this is not just a short-term thing, but actually we are investing and building something permanent in that area. So when this was established, things became easier, but nevertheless, about actual deployment of product, the issues are the same also as for the smaller startup, because for the end user, for the military personnel, so it's the product, not really the company which is deploying it. Yeah.
So the main takeaway could be use your brand as one.
So for larger companies,
yeah,
sure,
yeah.
it just comes by default. But in the end, it's the quality and the applicability of the product what matters.
Adam, are there any mechanisms that you can distribute your needs and wishes regarding innovations? What do you need? What are you looking for? Are there anything how you can pass this information to innovators?
I think a lot of the kind of, if you use kind of like forums like LinkedIn or just news outlets, research centers, a lot of the requirements become quite public knowledge in terms of what the needs are. So I think the requirement to kind of educate yourselves, read deeply into current events, what's happening and what's emerging over time is very important. And then I think connected to what I was talking about in terms of engagement. Engagement's a two-way street, so you also need to find how to create that engagement as well. So many times trade shows, defense exhibits, all of those kinds of opportunities exist as a way to get kind of your foot inside the door, to create that initial contact point. Because I think that becomes kind of the real issue, is how do I create access to people? How do I start that communication? So it's finding the ways to connect with people, to build that network. And I think opportunities like that, the event that we had in January at the ATA Center is an example of that in terms of all of these exhibits that are being shown. There's a lot of military leadership who's attending. So being able to just connect with them in those kinds of forums are the ways to start those interactions. And I think those interactions then create, the opportunity for forward momentum, for increased engagement, for increased dialogue, and then it can kind of go from there. I think it's a lot of hard work, though. It just doesn't happen naturally. You just need to, you need to find a way to position yourselves to meet the right people at the right time.
And the same question for the ministry. Are there any mechanisms how you can pass the information what you need?
I think there is no single mechanism which will open all the doors and make everything green and rapid. I think that's what we want. We can't. The market is brutal now, not only in Europe but in the US as well. I think one thing you have to understand, there is so much money going around that, because of that, there is so much innovation going around that you just have to be prepped. It's not easy game anymore, and you have to use every door there is, every floor there is, every exhibition there is, and be brave and assertive. Otherwise, there's no way around. Whatever we do nationally, I think one thing we always emphasize is, fine, we can help and the army can help you as much as we can, but it will never be enough for serious business. And I hope that every innovator wants to have a serious business at the end of the day. With our ability to procure something, and we have an enormous defense budget in historical terms, you will never be able to sustain fully your business if we talk about the scalable business. So you will need the export. As Salvas just said, the consortia, it's difficult at one point to be without bigger primes, or not to be able to have someone around you. That's necessary. That's how Europe looks to certain things. So I think we just have to work on. Our doors are always open. We do have some of the conditions, of course. As I said, we need certain maturity for the idea. So you can, as it was said before, when you have the military leadership, idea is a good thing, but you will have to be able to, show that you have a prototype, or you something have close to the prototype, and you also will have to elaborate what do you need from our side as well. That talk has to be candid. We have to be open to each other to understand, can we offer that support or not? And then you have to decide if you're willing to innovate or not. Because one thing I think where the defense market is, again, a bit different than the civil market is, we not only have the competitors in the business world, we have the adversary who is making something against the system you are making. And that's one thing you really have to take into account, that not only you're having design freeze because you don't know what more to install, and what our army is asking, someone is, having some things against that system or radio link or whatever. So that's something you always have to keep in mind talking with our end users. To sum up, I think we have a lot of doors, we have a lot of opportunities. Don't hesitate. Be assertive, be aggressive. Just be able to sell your product. If you're not able to do that, there's so much offers around in Baltics, in Europe. We're actually, not being able to absorb all of that. So be brave, talk with us. There are a lot of things you can do, a lot of institutions they can help you with, Ministry of Defense as well. Our doors are open. Just come and try to sell to us.
Mm-hmm. And you are all, in a way, connected to the military industry. What do you think, what Europe lacks at the moment the most to protect itself in the best way possible? In terms of kind of innovations, we are talking a lot about drones. Is there anything else that we really need in terms of legislation? Anything? What do we need to better protect ourselves?
I can just quickly start. I think the Europe is not there where it wants herself to be yet. I think the new budget cycle is not open yet. There is a lot of eagerness and willingness to invest more. Europe is trying to scrap some money it still has and throw it around, just putting all around. It's not enough. There are a lot of papers around there. The bureaucratic processes are difficult in Europe. I hope through the next cycles it will be shortened and make it easier. It's just the condition as it is, and Salvas probably can tell a lot of stories how you think the Latvian bureaucracy or the Baltic bureaucracy is difficult, then you like European bureaucracy, it's just terrible. When I have seen the forums, you have to feel it's terrible. So they have to change that. The other thing, the money has to be more available to different kind of programs and more in a more guideline way. I think that's also clear. And I really hope to in the years to come, and again, we all want things tomorrow in Europe and in NATO. Those are difficult, and multinational organizations, you have to have agreements. but there's no other way around. Anything we can agree upon when it comes to grants or any other support mechanism, that's good. So let's put that thing aside that we want everything tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then week after is already something better than we had before. So I think it's just a lot of hurdles are still there, but I think they will be hopefully taken away.
I think I've spent a lot of time in the last 4 years just studying kind of the war that's happening between Ukraine and Russia. And from my perspective, I think the kind of the three or four things that I'm always thinking about in terms of how do we improve, how do we improve our secure communications so we're able to interact with one another? How do we process information at a quicker speed than what our adversary is processing their information, because that gives us a bit of a time advantage. So we're always thinking about that. How do we protect the soldiers that are in the train? What are the capabilities that we need to enable us to provide that protection? Not only protection to the soldiers, but to kind of key infrastructure, whether it be national or military infrastructure. And how do we improve sustainment and logistics? And really all of these things all kind of go into, they're all kind of synchronized together to allow you to do what you need to do. So I would say not necessarily from a European perspective we need to do this. This is just from a military perspective, how I think in terms of the key things that we need to continue to work through. How do we develop these capabilities? How do we bring these capabilities into the force? How do we train with them so that when we have to use them, we're ready to use them as well?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So, yeah, adding about the Europe, so yeah, the essential problem is speed, but Europe is, let's say, like a freight train. It's really difficult to start, but when it starts going, it's really difficult to stop, because Europe's policy making is linked with multi-financial framework, which is a 6-year time period where they allocate budget, and from there comes the political priorities. So currently we are in the beginning of this process for the period starting from 2027, if I'm correct. So considering that our enemy is constantly drumming the war drums, I don't think that this speed is sufficient enough, so we need to be quicker and more decisive. And secondly, Europe or EU is not one coherent organization, so there is a different sense of urgency between north and south, east and west. So at the end there is a compromise between those regions' priorities, and which then translates not always into the really pinpointed solution for that one particular challenge. But nevertheless, the trends are positive, and it's getting better.
Mm-hmm.
From my perspective, yes, I agree here. And the first thing is the speed, and what I think the main reason is the bureaucracy that's happening there. But the good point here in Latvia, I think the support from LIA, Altum, that options where you can find that first money, like it's very fast. And, there's no bureaucracy, I think, if we are comparing them. So that's all.
Yeah, to wrap it all up, I think that the main key takeaway is that we cannot really afford to sit and wait for something. Like all of us, we have to do what we have to do. We really have to act. We have to be active and provide ideas, solutions, look for money. We have to be true innovators. And this is what I think that here are a lot of doers, and I hope that this was a bit of an inspiration to you all that has something to add to this sector. So thank you, thanks for the discussion, thanks to everyone that was listening, and enjoy TechChill.